Good evening, viewers. Welcome back to another episode of Red-Rupee Cast featuring Dawn of War 2 Retribution. Before we get started on this match today, I've got quite a few announcements I want to throw out there. It's been a busy weekend for DAO 2 coming up here, and it's been a busy week for me as well. I've been working on a little project the past couple of years at work. You may have heard of it. It's called Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. That game released this week in the US and throughout the world, so definitely check that out if you're into action RPGs at all. Give it a shot. It's pretty awesome. There's demos up on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation, so if you haven't heard of it, look into it. Give it a shot. Do it for me. Little shameless self-promotion there for you. And this weekend, I'd like to point out there are 3 major Dawn of War events happening this weekend. We have, first of all, the ESL Winter Cup. The second round qualifiers are this Sunday coming up here, so check that out. I'll put up links to all of these, of course. And then next up, we have the Cup of Coffee tournament coming up, and this is the international tournament. He's doing 3 little runs here. He's doing an international tournament, then a French-only tournament, because that's his home country, and then he's taking the top 4 players from both of those tournaments and having an 8-player playoff at the end, so that'll be pretty awesome. And last but not least, we have the game replays starting their new Defeat Our Champion series, which will be lots of fun. Essentially, they'll be starting with a champion. This week, of course, will be none other than the infamous Texanius leading off as the champion, and people are able to challenge him. It's a best of a few games there. The first game, they pick their own hero. The second game, they actually get to pick the champion's hero that they have to play. So it should be lots of fun. Not a super serious tournament, but it'll be lots of fun. There will be coward badges and champion badges awarded over on the game replays forums. So check that out. And that's about it. 3 very cool events happening. Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town this weekend, so I won't be able to cover any of those. But if nothing else, I will get the matches from the Defeat Our Champion series, and I will cover those after the fact this coming up week. But I will be out of town this weekend, unfortunately. Anyways, that's enough rambling for me. You can see today we are hanging out in the sort of deserted desert town of Civil Frontier right now, and we've got a couple great players today. We've done a lot of IG and Eldar recently, so we're going to leave them behind today, and we're going to have Kalzi4 over here as our Tech Marine, and on the other side we have level 10, who is actually Tyger, if you've not heard of him, a very talented player, as our Chaos Lord, and we can see worship already happening right here. Gonna be shooting him out to the battlefield rather quickly. So let's get this game on the road and see how it goes. There goes the Chaos Lord charging into battle. We can see the Tech Marine and scouts moving around. I definitely agree. I would like to send the Tech Marine up top. Looks like he's actually going to go for a middle here. But I always like sending the Tech Marine up top myself. Sewell has these nice garrisons all over the place, and the Tech Marine can kind of hide from melee, which tends to show up in these early Chaos matches, of course, because you have the heretics roaming around, so a good chance of the Tech Marine being able to just hide in a garrison and shoot down some heretics. Anyways, looks like the Chaos Lord and the Tech Marine are just having a little range battle here. Of course, the Chaos Lord does pretty decent range damage for a melee hero, but he's not going to compete with this Tech Marine in green cover right now. Kind of ballsy to sit there and just take a lot of fire with that Chaos Lord. As you can see, he's getting very low since he was taking fire the entirety of that cap, so very aggressive play for Tyger right now. Kill the Weak, not quite hitting its target. That Chaos Lord's going to have to be kind of careful. Getting a nice special attack right there before he retreats and knocking all the tactical marines down. Heretics flanking in from the north, going to give those tactical marines a lot of trouble. Scouts kind of tried to move in to engage the Chaos Space Marines there, but had to fall back. That wouldn't have worked out well. And Tyger's doing a great job pulling those heretics back. He did not capture his power. He just went straight for the middle point with all of his forces. And prevented, you can see Kalzi also only got his power. So Tyger's in a good position right now to just take lots of map. He's leaving those very wounded heretics on the field, but after pushing back all of Kalzi4's units, there's no reason not to go ahead and use them to capture some map in the meantime. Scouts getting shotgun upgrades right out of the gate here, knocking those Chaos Marines to their butts, and now some Kraken rounds getting poured into them from the tactical Space Marines. They're going to go ahead and retreat before they lose any models. And looks like Tyger decided to go with a second squad of Chaos Space Marines, which is pretty common with the Chaos Lord. You'll see kind of just that big blob, the Chaos Lord, and the 2 Chaos Space Marines just rolling together. And it's a pretty difficult force to take down. We've already seen the Chaos Lord's amazing tanking ability as he was taking fire from the Tech Marine and Tactical Marines in that first engagement. And now he's just not hesitating to move on in and just sort of force Kalzi4 to stay focused on him. You can see it takes this entire squad here, the 2 scouts, the Tax, and the Tech Marine, to force him off. And meanwhile, Tyger's just running all over the map. You can see 4th squad coming on the field, 2 Ticks and 2 Tax, the Tic-Tacs of the Chaos Space Marines. So actually, Tex recently posted a guide, his Chaos Lord Diaries, and says that's also his preferred build as well. It's a very heavy tier 1, but it gives excellent map control and pushing ability, of course. And Tyger's not stopping there. He's also getting himself a Havoc squad, so a very heavy tier 1. Kalzi4 also purchasing himself a 3rd squad of scouts. So we'll have to see how that works out. Triple scouts, normally when you see triple scouts you see some sniper rifles come onto the field, but so far all we've seen is the shotguns. And Tech Marine kind of just hanging out, same with the Chaos Lord, no war gear purchases on them. Tyger, of course, not having any power up, using a lot of wreck to bring all those squads onto the field. Meanwhile, Kalzi4 has a full gen farm, so gonna be a bit head in the tech department unless Tyger can get that power bash in. Havoc squad getting set up and forcing off that Tech Marine right away. He's not going to be able to deal with that, being the ranged commander that he is. Trying to force a shotgun blast from these scouts here so the heretics can move in. There it is. Excellent use of those Chaos Marines. Sort of forcing the shotgun blast early and then letting the dedicated melee squad move in. So Chaos Lord taking some shots at these scouts right now while he captures that point. Chaos Marines just pretty much ignoring that small arm scout fire. Oh, but there goes a sniper shot, dropping a model. That's the first snipers. I'm not sure if the other squad has been upgraded yet. So we have 1 shotgun, 1 standard vanilla scout squad, and 1 sniper squad. So again, the Chaos Lord just kind of stomping around, eating lots of fire. Kalzi4 just forcing him off the field whenever he can, and then trying to roll out and force away some of this map control. So Tyger getting a couple generators up, still going to be behind on tech right now. Sniper's not quite taking out one of those Havoks right there. I heard him took a shot, but of course 1 shot on its own isn't going to drop it, and retreating just before losing a model. Got to be very careful, of course, with the scout snipers, as they do cost power to reinforce. Tech Marine takes out a model of that Havoc squad just before it fires, and there's the instant suppression that Havoks are infamous for. That very first shot will instantly suppress just about anything it fires at. But of course that Tech Marine doing a nice job of drawing fire while the dev sets up. But of course, Tyger's there with the flank with those heretics and forces that off as well. Luckily, it looks like it managed to not lose any models right there. So good retreat on that point. But the Havoc itself did lose 2 models. Meanwhile, these scouts are doing a great job of trying to hold the map. Unfortunately, this top squad is just sitting there. Oh, it looks like Kalzi noticed it at the last possible second and managed to pull him back. That would have been an unfortunate loss for Kalzi at this point in the game. So Kalzi is seeing Tyger's heavy tier 1 and raising him an extra dev. So both players going extremely heavy in the tier 1 department. Just lots of squads on the field already. You can see, rarely see this much from Space Marine or Chaos. Chaos normally in a rush to get that Blood Crusher out, and Space Marine not normally far behind and wanting that tier 2 tech. So that's a good response, I feel, from Kalzi, because Kalzi knows that Tyger has spent so much power, or so much wreck rather, that power couldn't have been up early, so he's not in a rush to take out, to really just get into tier 2 right away. He knows that with those 2 Devastators and all these scouts, he can maintain some excellent map control. Those Havoks having to retreat right away, but of course, the Heretics, the Havoks are down here meanwhile, and being flanked themselves by a squad of Devastators. So Scouts being a little brazen right there. They actually probably will die to those 2 extra Havoc members right there. They do have to retreat. Chaos Lord taking a face full of Devastator right there and having to get off the field. But all in all, it looks like Tyger's been doing a pretty solid job of map control so far. You can see he's got about a 100-point VP lead. But right now he has been forced pretty much entirely off the field. Moving back up, of course, with that quick worship. Kalzi's trying to use these flamers he's purchased before to get a nice gen bash in here, but unfortunately Tyger's just been too quick to react both times these attacks have come down here, and really protected his power. So I feel like Kalzi should maybe be trying to use both of these Devastators down on this bottom side of the map and really push this power advantage, since he did purchase that flamer. And of course now he's sitting on a lot of resource. I'm not sure why he hasn't gone tier 2 yet. I'm not sure if he's just not quite paying attention right yet. But he needs to hit that tier 2. He's got the resource and he should have the advantage to tier 2 quicker. But unfortunately Tyger's leading the way in that regard. So using the shotgun's a bit late there because those sniper scouts are already in melee. He probably didn't have to pull them back right there, but a little bit of a mistake. And a 3-0 cap at least for Kalzi right now. He evened that VP advantage right back out to about a difference of 20 or so VPs. And meanwhile, the Chaos Lord getting a bit brazen there in the middle. Oh, and he realizes it at the last second, decides to pull back. Gets the decap, though, so a pretty good play. He's kind of just been running around and charging into battle and then retreating. So, not much from him too much yet. Chaos Heretics coming up with the Aspiring Champion here, taking out one of those Devastator models. And gonna give that Tech Marine a little bit of hurt. Of course, he's just gonna sit there and tank it while the Scouts pummel away at those Heretics. Havoc Squad gets set up and pouring some fire into these Tactical Marines. But of course, the Scouts and Tech Marine will be able to flank that without much issue. Now it looks like we're seeing Eternal War and Khorne Chaos Marines on the field right now, so giving Tyger a pretty heavy melee force. Let's see, his other squad is still staying neutral, no marks on them yet. But that's 3 melee squads that Kalzi4 is going to have to deal with. I'm not really sure if that's a good choice, though, considering that Kalzi does have 2 Devastators on the field. Of course, that doesn't make you want to bring out a Blood Crusher at all, but I still feel like forcing at least one of those into a las cannon would be a good choice for Tyger. But we'll see how this big melee force works out right now. Chaos Lord charging around. Of course, he will be able to charge one of the Devastators. Also going with the Combo Flamer upgrade, which is kind of curious. I'm not sure if that's maybe to try to pick off some Scouts as he runs around and captures map, or what. But I feel like that Combo Flamer in Tier 2 is not often a purchase you see on the field. So you can see Kalzi. Oh no! Those Heretics trying to get on the Devastator, but there was another one right behind it, and they lost quite a few models, taking a lot of that heavy bolter fire right away. And between the Scout shotguns and the 2 Devastators, these Khorne Marines are just taking a beating. Chaos Lord trying to get behind these Devastators, but Kalzi4 is doing a good job of keeping those ready and just aiming wherever they need to go. With 2 Devastators on the field, you can really kind of lock that Chaos Lord away, as they do no suppression, but getting closer, of course, does a lot more damage. So unfortunately, this Devastator is just a bit too far back. Not quite hitting those Heretics, probably doesn't have the sight for it, and of course can't get that Havoc Squad either. So the Dreadnaught is now on the field, and oh, actually, it looks like it got a melta on that Dreadnaught, which is pretty curious considering all the melee that's on the field. You would think that he would want that Emperor's Fist ability to be able to stun those melee squads and do some damage there and protect those Devastators. Oh, and one of those Havoc members just getting obliterated by that melta. Pretty much just got melted right there. Melta doing some pretty nice damage, of course, but very short range, and kind of tends to put your Dreadnaught in harm's way more often than not. So we'll have to see how that works out. Both players making some interesting build order choices right here. Again, Kalzi going for the power harass, but of course the Chaos Lord is there to just constantly cause a lot of disruption. Not going to allow any of that power to go down. And we see the big old pile of melee coming in right here, along with just about everything, really, of Tyger's forces right now. Plasma Overcharge going down on that Tech Marine, and the Melta doing some pretty reasonable damage to that Chaos Lord as well, again forcing Tyger off of the field. So, of course, Kalzi has all these scouts, so really just been controlling the whole map. You can see he's pretty much got the entire sort of resource belt here in the middle in his control. The VPs have been going back and forth pretty well, but with this Dreadnaught on the field, I feel like Kalzi should have a pretty good map control right here. So autocannon khorne, Mark of Khorne right here on these Havoc squads. Don't see that very often either. You would think with the Dreadnaught on the field he would go for the las cannon upgrade, but deciding just to go with the autocannon, which does reasonable AV damage and will outrange these Devastators as well, so we'll have to see how that works out. Chaos Lord kind of just standing up in the front and eating some fire, and you can see that autocannon tearing into those tacks. As soon as those heretics move in, yeah, they are going to have to retreat. And right now that Chaos Lord needs to charge this Devastator, but instead he's choosing to go after the scouts. So you can see one of those scouts getting launched right into the air there. Oh dear. That Havoc squad, those Khorne Havocs are nasty fellas indeed. I love the Havoc gun too. Look at that big nasty bayonet on the end of that. I want them to have a sync kill for that. I want everything to have sync kills. I know a lot of people don't care for sync kills, but I just want big fancy sync kills for everything. And we can see the excellent use of that that Mark of Khorne Havoc squad there, just barely outranging that Devastator and doing some nasty damage while it was in melee. And what we see here actually is this Dreadnaught just took some fire from this Havoc, and the splash damage actually detonated that Artificer mine, and it is in a lot of trouble. Blood Sacrifice pulling in some Bloodletters. Looks like the repair from those scouts will be enough to hold it out. The Bloodletters are of course very frail. And once again we're seeing that Melta do some pretty nasty damage to that Chaos Lord. Khorne Havocs are set up once again though and pouring fire into that Dreadnaught. That Dreadnaught was just caught out of position and got slowed by the Tech Marine's own mine there. And now is falling back out of that Havoc.
The enemy is claiming a victory point.
So normally we don't see the Havoc squad because just once it gets in position it tends to take a lot of fire and just has to fall back pretty quickly. This Melta Dreadnaught, of course, putting some more pressure on these Chaos Space Marines and just trying to get some repair up while it can. Again, this Havoc squad being used to force off these Devastators. Excellent use of that. Actually, this Havoc's been pretty useful so far. I wouldn't have expected it to do as much to the Dreadnaught as it did, but that Dreadnaught was kind of at point-blank range. And now with Plague Marines on the field, Kalzi4 is going to have to be very careful with that. He's got a pretty good map control advantage right now. He's 100 points up and just needs to keep the pressure on. But he needs to stop walking into that Havoc squad. That Havoc squad, I feel like he's underestimating. And again has to fall back with his tax and one of his Devastator squads. Meanwhile, we have Overcharge going down on the Tech Marine, taking out one of those Plague Marines, but of course they have the slow on their rockets, so that Dreadnaught should really pull back, I feel, and not try to push too hard, as if it loses any... Oh, Champion going down on the Chaos Marines. Tech Marine moving in to engage in melee and protect that Dreadnaught. Meanwhile, the Scouts have just been constantly repairing that, and Kalzi's heading into Tier 3 in the meantime. Looks like Tyger's probably able to if he wanted to as well, but looks like he's sticking Tier 2 as Chaos tends to do. But right now, Tyger has some pretty solid map control. The disadvantage right now is that Kalzi's using these Scouts as a sort of repair platform for this Dreadnaught, and that's been allowing Tyger to pretty much just take the whole map right now, because that's what Kalzi was using to keep his map control advantage. These squads were all kind of hanging out in his base during that last fight. I know he was very focused on not losing this Dreadnaught, but he definitely should have used these squads to kind of lock down some map once again. Tech Marine taking a lot of fire once again from this Havoc squad over here. Tech Marine getting the decap, but having to fall back once again. Scouts trying to get a couple quick shots in, and the Worship being used excellently to move these already quick khorne Marines dashing into the middle of battle right here. Those Scout shotguns, I'm sure, there it is, there's the knockback. But once again, we're seeing that Melta actually do quite a bit of reasonable damage here, but those Scouts need to get out of there. And now, taking fire from both the Plague Marines and those khorne havoks. That Dreadnaught's probably going to be in a lot of trouble right here. It's stopping the melee. I would not do that right now. Oh dear. Looks like the Tech Marine did use his red and pop his global repair, which looks like it might be just enough to save this thing. But oh no, one final shot from the Plague Marines, and there goes that very expensive Melta Dreadnaught. So Kalzi4 again sitting on lots of resource. He's tier 3. Obviously doesn't have the red right now to call anything down, so he needs to bring either just something onto the field. Unfortunately, the only option he has right now in tier 3 would be a Predator or a Land Raider. And considering he hasn't bought anything yet, he must be saving up for a Land Raider. Chaos Lord getting very brazen, chasing down that Tech Marine right here. He may go down, and he does! That Chaos Lord finally falling here, but the Tech Marine needs to fall back himself. And, oh no! Plague Marine rocket hit him square in the face, followed by a couple rounds of that autocannon, made short work of the Tech Marine. And what would have been a nice advantage for Kalzi was just instantly lost there because he didn't pull his Tech Marine back. Meanwhile, Tech's trying to flank this Havoc squad, but getting intercepted by these Chaos Space Marines. We can see that was a nice attempt to set up that dev in the back with distraction with the tax, but unfortunately, Tyger spotted it and moved those Mark of Khorne Marines right on in there. Meanwhile, up top, we've got an aspiring champion Heretic squad facing also against 2 Scouts. Of course, with the help of those Chaos Space Marines with the Mark of Sinch, will pretty much just wipe those Scouts off of the field. So the Kalzi recognizes that and has to fall back. And right now, actually, it's looking pretty rough for Kalzi. Tyger's kind of controlled the map right here for a little while during that Dreadnaught battle. And now with that most recent push again, has a triple cap coming up on the field right now. Kalzi really only has one chance to push this, and is currently building a Land Raider. I really don't feel like that is the best option, but as the game may well be over before that Land Raider hits the field, unfortunately. So that Tech Marine is still down. We can see a Space Marine Knows No Fear being triggered right now. This Havoc squad, this Khorne Mark Havoc squad has just been invaluable for Tyger. Really not a commonly used unit and just been shining in this match today. Meanwhile, Scouts are just kind of throwing themselves on the point here, trying desperately to get a decap. There's 18 points left. I really don't think that Kalzi has any chance at this point. We're just kind of watching the VPs tick away. And an excellent push by Tyger here during these last couple engagements. Kalzi just kind of lost his map control, and there's the GG as the last couple points tick away. So, wow, Kalzi kind of just hanging out for this Land Raider. Probably should have brought something else onto the field sooner. That fast tech into the heavy tier 3 units doesn't always work out, especially if you're losing map control rapidly. Really, what I loved was just seeing this Havoc squad, this Mark of Khorne Havoc squad, just tearing into stuff, shredding the Devastator, shredding the Tactical Marines, and doing all kinds of damage to that Dreadnaught when it came out to the field. So, a couple curious choices by Kalzi, going with, it looks like he also bought the Tech Marine Orb, which is curious. But the Melta on the Dreadnaught was an odd purchase, and then just kind of losing map control there at the end. So excellent game, very cool indeed. Always fun to see some different stuff. Anyways, that's the game. Be sure to check out those tournaments and other events this weekend. This is Red-Rupee. I'll catch you guys next time.